Hi, welcome to East Texas Flower Farm. I'm Melanie, and today I want to show you my secret to the loose wildflower bouquet that we are known for. And it is this little piece of chicken wire. It's about 4 sections wide by 6 sections in length. So you can see it's not very big, and what we're going to do is fold it in on itself. We're going to just make a little armature for the bouquet, and we're going to tuck all these wires in so there's no sharp edges to injure our bride or our bridesmaids. So you have a nice little round piece of wire, almost like a little ball. It's not very big. This is a petite bouquet. I think we have this listed on our site, on our a la carte, for about $65. Not really sure, but this is how we do it to get that loose, open, and airy design. All right, here you go. See that? It's very small. Now this is going to be a small bouquet. Let's make sure we have all the sharp edges tucked in. There we go. Yeah. Now one thing that's a little bit different that I do here for my bouquets, I'm not going to be using very much foliage, very little foliage. In fact, the foliage I'm going to use is a lemon basil, and we'll start by putting it in just around the perimeter of this armature, and we'll use our fingers to kind of help hold it. Everything wants to come out at once. Yeah, just go ahead and pull it all out of the vase. I'm using some garden zinnias, some lisianthus, Queen Anne's lace, celosia, and we've got, and dahlias. This is a beautiful blushy pink dahlia. It's called Ebony, and we'll be using those in our design today. The first thing we want to do though is make sure that we have our little crisscross. Now you'll notice in my armature, no greenery, no foliage goes into this wire. It's all, pop that off. Only the stems go through here. If I notice that foliage may be going into it, then we trim that off. We don't want any foliage down in the armature of our structure. So you want your stems to be really clean. Always clean your stems. So we've got a good base. You might want to rearrange some things. It's not like if you put something in, you can't move it. That's the beauty of this. You can always move it. So here we are. I have my fingers beneath the armature. It's simply holding the stems open and giving it that airy design that we're known for. Now, the next thing I'll do is I'll start with my zinnias. We'll put some white zinnias in here. And again, we always make sure that our foliage does not go into the armature. That's not, we don't want any, you don't want any foliage down in that armature of the chicken wire. We want it covered, but we don't want the foliage down in there. And the beauty of this is you can turn it, you can rearrange your plants, you can rearrange your flowers. A little white one, and you know, sometimes your plants will have a little odd shape. Use that to your advantage. This one has a unique curve in its stem, so we're going to put that in here and we're going to use it to our advantage. See this? It automatically gives us a little body and a little structure over here on the side. Now, kind of would like to reposition it. You have to be delicate, it's not. There, that's what we want. Get it out. So we have a little three-dimensional look. We don't want all of one thing on one side, but we definitely want to use that natural shape of this particular flower. We'll turn it and let that be, we'll use that to our advantage. Here's another white zinnia. These leaves may be a little bit low. See how I've cleaned it off? All right. We probably need a little bit of white here. Always keep in mind, you know, what we need to balance. So here we go. You can turn, see how you can turn your stem to position it how you want, because we've got this armature that supports it. All right, let's move on to our color. There's one that has a little bit of a leaf still on it. That through. Sometimes, especially with zinnias, you know, they have that, they'll have a little bit of a branch. You can just give them a little bit of a twist to pull that, position that how you want it in your bouquet. They look so fragile, but in fact, they're very sturdy little garden blooms that can really elevate this whole airy wildflower look. Now this is one that I've deliberately kept like this. You see where we cut it off, you've got these forks here at the end, these low leaves. We want to remove these. Now the question is, do we want to keep this a little bit of structure down here? It would certainly help position this and give it that dancing, what I call the fairy look, but it will also make it a little difficult to work into the bouquet. So how much are we willing to work on this? Well, we're gonna try. We're gonna see if we can slide that in. Yes, perfect. So, and that will also help us position it. Do we want to tuck it in maybe a little bit more, or do we want to lift it out? So that's another plus to using this little armature, is being able to position these flowers, each bloom. It looks so natural and uncontrived, and yet It is very, very well controlled and contrived to achieve the open, airy garden look that our bouquets are so well known for. Here's another white zinnia. I'm going to take off these lower leaves. And let's see, I think we could use a little white over here on this back side. I always like to think about what my bride will be looking at. Will she have a focus flower? Find my stem, here it is, for this one. Turn it so that my bride has a detailed focus flower. Now let's look at the front. These are Lysianthus, and this is a branching, and you can see there's lots of foliage below the flowers, but yet the stem is clean. Now I'm going to use this, but I'm only going to allow the flower up to the foliage to go into the armature, because the last thing we want, this little zinnia keeps wanting to slide down, we want to be very careful that our armature is holding our flowers up high. They're all dancing, they're all, yes, performing, not just for the wedding ceremony, but also for the guests, because when you photograph a wedding bouquet, a bridal bouquet, you want every detail to be beautiful from every angle. So another feature to this little armature I use is being able to turn it. We don't have any, I think I'm going to push that up. We don't have any side that we can't absolutely focus on. Let's put this one here. Make sure that we have just a little, give it a little twist. Yes. And here's a little celosia. Start with some of these lower blooms. I always look to where my stem is ending, because when I begin to trim my stems, I want to go with the shortest stem, the one that's the nearest to the armature. You really don't want a lot of a long stem, because that gives the bride the opportunity to hold her bouquet in an unnatural way. You want the stems, it's hard to explain, but you want your stems to be short enough that they're perfect for how she will hold it. If they're very long, she may hold it too low on the stems, and then the bouquet droops. So one thing you want to always do is be cognizant of how your bride is going to be holding her bouquet. And another thing is, not every stem has to go in the armature. So keep that in mind too. This is a dahlia, and I am going to put it kind of deep in the armature, this one. And then we have another dahlia that I will use, but we're going to put it outside the armature and really just kind of cross through here. So that'll be the next one to put. Notice we have deep flowers, and then we have high flowers. We're trying to keep a really good balance of depth, perception. We want the flower, we want this bouquet to have, and you do have to, work it. I mean, it's not now that we've added some more, we need to really readjust this light zinnia. There we go. Yeah, okay. So you're constantly evaluating, and I think a little celosia right here would be good. Let's put that right there. Gives it just a little different texture. It has that little salmon pink that ties this zinnia with this dahlia together. This dahlia on this back side, now this will be my bride's focal flower. When I hand my bouquet off to my bride, my instructions to her are always, this is the flower that you should be looking at. And I want her to be looking at a beautiful focal flower, especially like a dahlia or a particular garden rose, like a Juliet rose. I don't want my bride to have just a filler flower. I want her to be able to look down at her bouquet and know this is a beautiful feature flower, and this is what my bouquet looks like to my guests, to my spouse-to-be, and to my photographer. So that helps her really stay focused. So this particular dahlia is her focal flower, and when I hand this bouquet off, that's what I'll tell her. And you see how the flowers are dancing? A lot of times I have far more flowers than I'll really use in my bouquet. But the key is to have enough flowers. Now I think we've got a little bit of a blank spot here. I'm gonna look for this little pink zinnia. I think that would be really pretty here. Right. As I was saying, I really want my brides to always have a beautiful flower that maybe it's something that they particularly requested in their bouquet. If they particularly requested orchids, or if they particularly love the David Austin garden roses, then that would be a flower I would remind them that that's their focal flower. They should always be looking at that particular flower to ensure that they're holding their bouquet correctly for photographs. But I never want my bride to just be looking at a filler. I want her to always have something that means something to her and that particularly speaks to her. I really love Queen Anne's lace. It has a nice berry feature. And how will we use that? I'm thinking maybe just work it down in the middle. There we go. Now see, I can see where the stem is. So now I'm ready to pull it in. All right. Got that. What does our front look like? I still think we have a little bit. I always like to use a white flower to reflect the light, to fill in anywhere I think there's a hole. And this particular flower that I'm using here is called Morgana. It's a white scabiosa. I like to use it as I call them fairies because they dance like a fairy. And so that's always, yeah. All right, so this is my bride's flower. Sometimes I have to stop and talk to myself and really look at what we're doing. We don't have very much. Let's try this little salmon celosia right here. And just a little something right here in the front. Yeah, there we go. Kind of plays off this dahlia. Tuck it in a little bit deeper. And then maybe another celosia over here on the side. Another secret, when you're making a bouquet, when you're making a centerpiece, is always know when you're done, when you have reached perfection and your bouquet is ready. And the wildflower look that our customers, that our clients will really like, I think we may be getting close here with this bouquet. So I've got my feature flower back here on the back for my bride to see, or dahlia. And then we've got the dahlia on the front, lisianthus, scabiosa, zinnia, the basil, celosia. Yeah, looks really good. Now, is there anything that we would use a mirror? A lot of times I'll use a mirror creating a bouquet and watch it in the mirror as it builds. It's a little difficult to do making a video, but I think we're ready for the ribbon and the tie. Now, what I'll do here is I'll trim these stems off. I'll use a paper wrapped wire, and then I'll cover the bouquet with the ribbon, like wrap the ribbon that is the bride's choice of color. For this particular wedding bouquet, it's a white chiffon silk. It'll be very beautiful, and you can find a photo of it on our website. Thank you.